Well, this is our final week of dealing with the flood, and we dealt with the prelude, with the cornerstone of awareness that humanity left to our own resources can destroy the created order. We've got it in our hands. The second was that in the darkest of times of human existence, God will find the faithful as a bridge to the future. And now for our third journey. The story of the flood sets forth the character of Yahweh as clearly as any story in the Hebrew library. This clarity and importance is represented in the history of the Hebrew people. In their nomadic wandering before settling in what they believed was their promised land, they carried a symbol with them, a symbol of the presence and faithfulness of Yahweh. They carried the Ark of the Covenant. The covenant refers to the deal Yahweh made with them at the end of the flood. That's the covenant. The Ark refers to Noah's Ark, which was the bridge of the Hebrew people from a world of violence and self-centeredness before the flood to the world after the flood, in which the Hebrew people always knew the faithfulness of God. They knew the faithfulness of God. Not their own faithfulness always, but they knew the faithfulness of God. Listen to the way the composers of Genesis 1 through 11 put this together. First of all, reading from Genesis 8:20 to 22. And then Noah built an altar to the Lord after the flood, and took every clean animal and of every clean bird and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And when the Lord smelled the pleasing odor, the Lord said in his heart, I will never again curse the ground because of man. For the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth, neither will I ever again destroy every living creature as I have done. While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night, shall not cease. And then reading from Genesis 9:8 to 17. And God said to Noah and to his sons with him, Behold, I establish my covenant with you and your descendants after you, and with every living creature that is with you, the birds, the cattle, every beast of the earth with you, as many as came out of the ark. And I establish my covenant with you that never again shall all flesh be cut off by the waters of a flood. And never again shall there be a flood to destroy the earth. And God said, This is the sign of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for all future generations. I set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth. When I bring clouds over the earth, and the bow is seen in the clouds, I remember my covenant which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh, and the waters shall never again become a flood to destroy all flesh. When the bow is in the clouds, I will look upon it and remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. God said to Noah, This is the sign of the covenant which I have established between me and all flesh that is upon the earth. Friends, that's the deal. And that's the covenant that God has made with humankind. Again, as we consider the first five books of the Bible and beyond, we see how these stories are a prelude to what follows. There are 3 declarations of the covenant in the first 5 books of the library. The first one we've just read. The second is in Exodus 31. Indeed, in Genesis 17, pardon me, in Genesis 17, the covenant was renewed with Abraham, the father of faith. Then later, this covenant was renewed at Mount Sinai with Moses, the leader of the faith. This covenant was made by Yahweh. It was not deserved. It was not earned by the Hebrew people before, during, or after nationhood. Never deserved, never earned. Indeed, Jesus' life and teaching was based on this covenant Yahweh first revealed after the flood. God is not destructive. God will always be faithful regardless of the faithlessness of humanity. Belief in the faithfulness of Yahweh is the cornerstone of faith, distinct from religion. Whereas religion is the human quest for Yahweh, which includes the quest to please God and earn blessings from Yahweh. That's religion. Faith is a belief that Yahweh has come to humankind full of grace, not earned or deserved. And the Christian faith is a belief that Jesus was the incarnation, the inflationness of God, the manifestation of God's covenant with humankind. This is the covenant the divine has made with humanity, not earned, not deserved. One of the great hymns of our faith and of the Christian community is "Great is Thy Faithfulness." Hymn number 140. Listen to what we sing. Great is Thy faithfulness, O God, my Father. There is no shadow of turning with Thee. Thou changest not. Thy compassions, they fail not. As Thou hast been, forever wilt be. Remember the text we read a few minutes ago. Summer and winter, springtime and harvest, sun, moon, and stars in their courses above, join with all nature in manifold witness to Thy great faithfulness, mercy, and love. Pardon for sin and a peace that endureth, Thine own dear presence to cheer and to guide, strength for today, and bright hope for tomorrow. Remember the bridge. Blessings all mine, with 10,000 beside. And the chorus. Great is Thy faithfulness, great is Thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, Thy hand hath provided. Great is Thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Indeed, Hebrews 11 is the most succinct definition of faith. which include the references to the campfire stories of Genesis 1 to 11. Read Hebrews 11 as the definition of faith. It's what the covenant is all about. Indeed, the story of the flood ends with the sign of the covenant, the bow. It's not the rainbow. That's what we call it. It's the bow. The bow was a weapon of violence, war, and bloodshed. No guns at that time, but they had the bow. It was the instrument and the weapon of death, the weapon of destruction that God implemented in the flood. But God set it in the sky in its rightful place for all to see, representing the gift of Yahweh to humankind, the covenant, which is God's deal with humankind. The 10th cornerstone is put in place at the end of the storm. Great is God's faithfulness. Oh, so much to think about when we think about the covenant. Think about these questions. In your journey of faith, have you been on a quest for a relationship with God through works to earn God's favor, or in thankfulness for God's gift to humankind? In other words, if you've been on a journey of religion or a journey of faith. Secondly, do we live daily praying and seeking God's presence, or experiencing and being thankful for God's presence? Finally, how's this campfire story relevant to the Judeo-Christian culture in the summer of 2021? Thank you for listening.